all these young guys making plays on the offense and the defense. You excited about the season, and how can you not be excited about the future, dude?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a beautiful thing to watch Auburn actually go out there and execute the things. I mean, listen, let's start the conversation with the one guy who had the most off-season talk about him, and that's Payton Thorne. Right?
Mm.
Payton had a great game. He did everything that you needed him. He showed you everything that you needed to see in this game from him. Again, I get it. I get the competition. I get, you know, the resistance that wasn't there and blah, 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 this and this and that. There were still people who thought he wasn't going to do it versus A&M. Right. And he did everything that you needed. Like, he made the adjustments at the line of scrimmage. He hit the deep shots when they were open. He made some pinpoint throws over the middle of the field. He ran the ball when he needed to effectively. Did all the stuff you're supposed to do as a quarterback. He looked. This was the first time I watched Payton Thorne and said that's a fifth-year senior plan.
Yeah, it's like last year. We talked all the time about, hey, man, I'm not necessarily upset about the result. I'm upset about the way it looked. And tonight, turning the page on that, it's like, hey, I understand the opponent. I know that the score probably should have been somewhere around this, but it's about the way it looked. It looked clean. It looked efficient for the most part. I mean, I know there's going to, like, you had the miscommunication, or maybe it was just a bad throw with Smith there early when he was wide open. But, like, you are working in a whole bunch of new receivers, so it wasn't going to be just crisp and perfect no matter the opponent. There was going to be some miscommunications. I thought like his incompletions, a lot of them were on deep balls, and I felt like, like the one to Perry. I'm okay with that ball placement. You had the one in the end zone. I think to Robert Lewis probably could have been a better pass. Rivaldo should have caught maybe both of those. Obviously, one of those he should have caught, but the one in the end zone, you kind of expect Valdo to come down with that. So, like, even the incompletions, I was okay with the ball placement because he didn't put the ball in danger.
Yeah. The only play I would say he put it in danger was the first post route
Malcolm
through. Yeah, it was behind him. That was the only one that maybe like a high quality DB could have broke on and made a play on that one. But outside of that, everything else looked good.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like, it's been a long time since we've seen Auburn the pass to run ratio like that. Like, it was clear, hey, we're coming out, we're throwing the ball, we're going to show you guys what we got going on over here. Because I mean, what Jarquez have 4 attempts. He could have been over 4 attempts. So it just definitely seemed like the game plan was, let's show up, let's get these guys involved, let's get get our feet underneath us in the passing game. And yeah, man, just the way Payton looked, dude, just nice, confident. Other than that one pass, didn't put any balls in danger. I thought that in, like, the zone read game, he made the good decision the majority of the time. Looked effective with his legs, using them when he had to, and we won the game 73-3, and I still feel like we left a lot of we just didn't show a whole lot. Like, it was like, hey, there's still a whole lot we got in the bag. And I watched that Cal game, and boy, their secondary looks sketchy versus UC Davis, and it's like, I think we can definitely have some explosive plays next week in the passing game as well. So really exciting, man. Really, really excited about the way Payton looked tonight, and got some optimism about this thing looking clean. And like I talked about all summer, I want to see a game plan.
Yeah,
I just want to see a game plan and us look like we know what we're doing. And off the top of my head, I can't think of any, like, pre-snap penalties on offense. Maybe there was 1 or 2 that I missed, but all that kind of stuff, like the operation, getting the plays in, it all looks good, man.
Yeah, I have no major issues with what I saw from the team today. I'm gonna grab a couple of these chats and hear some super chats here. Frankie Free says, "Man, they were gonna feed Kane on that last drive, and he gave it away." Yeah. I actually don't think that was a completion. I think that was an incomplete pass. I don't know that he ever actually secured that one, but the rest was ready to get out of there. They was like, "Man, just give him the ball. It's cool." Heavy says, "Was wrong about running the ball. Methinks Freeze is trying to impress a Notre Dame recruit." Listen, I think they did what they were supposed to do, which is they're reading what the defense gives, and we're just going to play football. We're not going to try to force one thing or the other. If y'all going to play single high safety, okay, I'll take my chances one-on-one with some of the best wide receivers in college football. That's fine. If that's the way you guys want to play defense, this is what you're going to get as a result. We're going to air it out on you. And I think A&M said to themselves, we're not going to get beat by their run game. We're not going to just let them push us around. And Payton Thorne's like, cool. I got guys I can throw the ball to, no problem. and the offensive line gave him time to sit back there and decide where he wanted to go with the football. Easy pickings. Payton Thorne, 13 of 21 tonight, 322 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown with another 49 yards on the ground. Very efficient, very effective day for Payton Thorne. Oda
Yeah.
Smith with the super chat says, I mean, I got what I wanted. We really did air it out. Our wide receiver room is beautiful. War Damn Eagle. Yeah, the wide receivers looked good. They look
Yeah.
good.
A lot of those guys have a whole lot of eligibility left too. They're just getting started, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, we talked about it a little bit on the halftime reaction show, but the double move by Cam Coleman was filthy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely filthy. Like he did it perfectly. He made it look like he was about to go get into his break. And then the minute he let off the throttle, he went back to 60 again. And he was past the DB in a couple of steps. Payton Thorne just floated it out there for him. That's exactly how you draw it up. And it looked wonderful. Keandre Lambert-Smith looked as advertised. He like the deep post he hit for the first touchdown. He just ran away from the dude.
Yeah.
Freaking I don't even know if Perry Thompson was running full speed and he was
He
running away
wasn't.
from
No,
that
he
guy.
wasn't. Yeah.
That's like he was running away from him, but he ain't even open up for real. I was like, yo, this is not fair, dude.
And he's one of those guys too, Ike, where he doesn't he's moving faster than it looks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's
Yeah.
this long strides. So yeah, when he opens it up, he can go. So yeah, he was just cruising, man.
Yeah, that's what's crazy about it. I think he was on the safety before the safety realized. He's like, oh shoot, he's here already. And then Payton Thorne did a great job of leading him to open grass, right? Like he didn't try to put it on him. He just threw it out there in front of him and let him run it down. Great hands catch out in front. That's what you want to see from your big receiver. And then he put it in cruise control all the way to the end zone. I was like, yo, this is silly. It's literally silly, and it's not fair. But this is what I told the A&M crowd when I went on their show. I was like, listen, I'm sorry. The only outcome here that people are going to be satisfied with is absolutely an absolute beatdown of A&M, and that's exactly what they delivered, bro. They had 28 in the first quarter. Like
No,
it was
middle schooled it up. I mean, they cut the clock in half in the second half.
yeah. Appreciate the gifted memberships here from Brian Hancher. He comes back with a super chat and says, well, will we be last in the SEC in time of possession? I don't know. If they're going to score like this, it's going to be ridiculous. That one point in time, they put a stat up on the board that said the average time of possession was something like 23 seconds. I was like, this is silly, man. This is absolutely silly. But it's fun. Like if you're an Auburn fan, it's fun. It's you haven't been able to watch this level of fun watching your team play football in a while. And I love the energy that was out there. And I loved Hugh Freeze absolutely chewing Payton Thorne out in the middle of a blowout to say, hey, this is not what you're supposed to do, right? Like, do it right. He was not on PT like that last year at all. You never saw him get on him like that on the sideline last year. He is so locked in right now as a coach. You almost now my expectation levels have raised because he's set the bar to say, no, that's not acceptable. I get it. We're beating them down. Do it right.
Yeah. DJ was the same way. I mean, late there in the fourth, I can't remember who it was, but one of the young guys ran the wrong way. It led to a first down around the edge, and he was all over him. So, yeah, just the energy feels different, man. Everybody brought the juice tonight, and that's something I like, looking forward to coming out of halftime. We came right back out of halftime. The whole team still had energy. The whole team still had juice. Young guys flying around. I mean, like, Malik blocked tonight. Blocked him, dude. Our guy, Robert Woodyard, 17 was in there every play in the second half, man. And when you go back and you think like, yes, it is an FCS opponent and all that, but recently Auburn struggled with a lot of these lower ranked opponents. And again, it just feels different. It just feels different. You look at it and you say, okay, there's real weapons and there's a real plan to deploy those weapons. So yeah, my expectation level has raised a little bit too. I know that there's still going to be moments when we're playing Power 4 teams where the freshmen make mistakes and it costs you a lot more because the level of competition is raised, and I expect that going on throughout the year. But just seeing all these young guys show up tonight ready to play, and then seeing the improvement of a guy like Robert Woodyard.
Mhm.
I really think this young class showed up
Yeah.
with the attitude. Like Hugh Freeze, we heard all these guys when they were committing. They all said they would all say somewhere in their commitment quotes, "I'm coming to Auburn to turn Auburn back into Auburn." And I think Hugh Freeze really sold those guys on that. So they come in the summer, and all of a sudden you're looking around and you're like, "Whoa, these young cats can push me out my job. They're already pushing me for playing time, and they're coming in early and staying late with the right mindset." And I think it just raised the game of everybody. It was kind of one of those, crap or get off the pot type moments. And so I think that the guys you've got in the locker room now are bought in. And like I said, just the coaching staff, like you saw the continuity tonight. Like, man, it just looked like the offense had a plan, and I'm so excited about that. So yeah, I agree with you. The expectations for the season for me are kind of looking at it like, hey, the ceiling. I still expect there to be some lows at times,
Yeah.
but the ceiling maybe has raised a little bit, in my opinion, is what this team can do if things go right.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it against some tougher competition. I don't
Yeah,
know if next week's going to offer tougher competition the way that Cal looked in this first game.
man.
Um, and we'll talk exhaustively about the Cal game after tonight. I don't want to look ahead too much. I do want to focus on tonight's victory, but I think it might be week 4 before you see any resistance from anybody, but we'll see what it looks like next week. Super chat here from Otis Smith says we legit have 3 NFL caliber wide receivers. Shoot, I think that number might be low, right? Like
Yeah,
Coleman's an NFL caliber wide receiver. Keandre Lambert Smith is a pro wide receiver. Malcolm Simmons probably isn't like your prototypical guy, but he can definitely be a slot wide receiver that would go to the league. And I think Perry Thompson is a guy that could do that as well. Robert Lewis, actually, even though he didn't get a chance to show it very much because they didn't throw him the ball very much, I think that he's a pro as far as the way he approaches it. He's probably not going to be an all-star in the league or anything like all pro in the league, but he's a guy who I think could make a 53-man roster or 52-man roster. So yeah, there's professional players on this team, and that's one of the things that I talked about coming into the season. That's how you evaluate really how good your ball club is. How many of these people can play at the next level? Like,
mm,
legitimately, can you see? And then you start to get into that elite level when you say you got a couple of first day draft picks, or you've got a couple of day 1, day 2 draft picks on there, right? Not just guys who could make a club, but like they could be drafted first, second, third round. And, you know, Auburn's got a couple of them on the field this year they could see their name called in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft if they play it right for the remainder of their career.
yeah. And I just want to say real quick on the wide receivers, don't sleep on Bryce Kane. Like, I know the other 3 guys showed out. Bryce Kane's gonna make a lot of plays in his career at Auburn.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's gonna be fine.
Super chat here from Heavy who says, I want to believe, but I'm an Auburn fan with PTSD. I'm still enjoying this win though. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, here's the thing. I'm not sitting here saying Auburn's going to win a national championship this year, but I was also in the boat of I could see this team only winning 6 games if it doesn't go well. Now
Yeah.
I'm like, 7, 8 games, I could legitimately, right? Like, again, I don't want to project too far because it's too early against some weak competition. But Cal, of course, did not look impressive to me today. That's a game that it wasn't in. That was in your toss column, right? Before the season.
Yes, yes, it is. It is now in my boss column.
Yeah, like that game should firmly be in everybody's boss column
Yeah,
at this point in time. If they don't go out there and house Cal, I'm going to be upset now just from watching Cal week 1. The only team that looked decent today that everybody thought was going to be trash was Vandy.
yeah.
I don't know what to make of what you saw from Ole Miss. I mean, not Ole Miss, excuse me, Oklahoma. I don't know to make of what you saw from Missouri because both of them are playing nobody. We were playing nobody. Like, let's be clear, we didn't play a team that should have offered much resistance. This Texas A&M game, the defense looks how I thought it was going to look under Mike Elko. They're out there flying around and they're putting up, a tough resistance to a decent Notre Dame team, right? So that game by no means is going to be an easy one. But in Kentucky, I didn't watch very much of their game, so I don't really know what to make of them. Notre Dame just scored, by the way. But you know, Auburn's got an opportunity here to of the 8 home games, I think they can easily win 7 of them. Well,
Yeah,
not
that's
easily. Excuse me, not easily, because Texas A&M is one of them. But like Vanderbilt, I still I don't know if I believe them yet, but we'll see. We'll
yeah,
see.
good start for Vanderbilt. Let's see how it goes when they start having injuries. By the time they play us November 2nd, I believe. Let's see
Yeah.
if their
How
depth is
much
holding.
depth? Yeah.
Yeah, let's see how
How
that
much
all.
depth do they have? That's going to be the important thing. Another one from Otis Smith says, meanwhile, Hunter, Austin, and Cobb smiling ear to ear, just knowing they are about to feast. Listen, if you can throw the ball in this league, that means that you can't stack the box. And I actually think Auburn is a better run blocking team than they are a pass blocking team this year. So if Payton Thorne's making quick decisions to guys who can make contested catches, then that makes it to where you have to figure out something else to do, which means you're either going to be blitzing more or like you got to do something else to disrupt what he's doing from a passing game, which means the run game is now open to you. And man, Jarquez Hunter, just every year he seems to just hurdle somebody.
Yeah,
Just every single.
yeah,
There's not been a year Jarquez Hunter has not been on a football field and not hurled someone. It's
yeah,
just
he's
what he
nasty.
does.
And Jeremiah looked like he could have ate today if we really wanted to.
Yeah, the run game looked good. All the backs looked good up until Justin Jones hit
Yeah.
Cam Brown's elbow on his way past. He looked good. John Jackson looked good. It's they were absolutely overmatched in this game. It wasn't fair. I tweeted at one point in time that just call PETA at this point in time because this is abuse of Bulldogs. Like there are Bulldogs out here getting drug around Jordan Hare Stadium. But I loved every minute of it. Damian Prentice says Freeze pulled that spatula out tonight. Oh, to my how many people they flipping? Because
Yeah, it's
there was some
coming.
recruits in the building and they absolutely got a show tonight. And yeah, I'd be at this point in time, I'd be shocked if Auburn's not like the number 2 class in the country at least next season. 2025 class is looking like it's going to be a top 2 class at this point in time.
Yeah, we're cooking, and then you're putting proof of concept on the field now, or at least you did
Well,
tonight.
that's what's crazy. He did all of this with no proof of concept before now, and then he's like, hey, y'all remember when I told y'all what my offense is supposed to look like? Here it is. And they're
Well,
like, oh crap, that's what that's supposed to look like. Oh man, and then you're gonna add us to that? Yeah, it's gonna
here's
be
the thing
crazy.
too, is when you tell these freshmen, hey, you come here, and I'm gonna find a way to put you on the field early. You got the tape to prove it. I mean, they
Yeah,
were all
that's what
over
I'm
the
saying.
field. The first play of our season went to Malcolm
Malcolm
Simmons.
Simmons. Yeah, yeah. Malik Blockton was out there, rep 1 on
Yep,
defense.
yep.
So there were true freshmen getting real playing time tonight, making real contributions all over the field. That's he did now he doesn't have to sell anything anymore. He can just turn the tape on.
Yeah.
You step into the office, let's just turn the tape on and you see, hey, you see where this guy's lined up? That could be you next year. It's not because this other guy's got seniority. I'm letting everybody rock.
How
We're just
about
gonna
Caleb
rotate
Harris getting
guys
in there
through.
at safety, making plays?
He was just letting guys go out there and fly around, man. So it's a beautiful thing to see. It gives you some hope for the future out here. Next up, we got Brian Hancher, who says, I think the more telling stars in this one are about the players we got involved. 3 quarterbacks, 9 or 10 wide receivers catching, second string O-line, future depth. The second string O-line was out there with Payton Thorne, right? Like
Mhm.
they were just like, all right, cool. We're just going Connor Lew and company, come on off the field. We'll just put the second group in there. And it didn't stop anything. We're just going to go out there and continue to dominate.
Yeah, DeAndre Carter is already in the 2 deep. To see him out there, 18 years old, his first game in the SEC. I understand the opponent, but at O line, man, that's not an easy thing to do. So to be out there in the 2 deep already, love seeing Braden Joyner out there as a redshirt freshman. Like, yeah, and then how long has it been since you can say this? I'm excited about the future of Auburn's offensive line. I'm looking
Yeah.
at the 2 deep of our offensive line, and I'm excited when the second string comes in because it's like, oh, these guys are all young, and I see the pathway to them being good and developing. And I haven't felt that way about the offensive line in decades. It feels like
Yeah. I mean, listen, you have Connor Lew, who,
stud.
he he's not going to make it past his junior. If he gets to a senior season at Auburn, it's only because he wanted the degree, not because he's not going to be draft eligible and somebody wants to go pick him up. So you've got Connor Lew there, but you've got guys like Braden Joyner who are behind him who can pick up the slack. And you just mentioned a DeAndre Carter and a Dylan Senda. Like there's the I can just sit here and rattle off names of offensive linemen that are quality offensive linemen that can't crack the starting lineup just because there's so much talent there. And that's the position you want to be in. And they're still going to be recruiting for the future. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, Broderick Scholl, like I'll say it right here, and I'm not shy. Broderick Scholl will come in next year and be on the two deep in the same way DeAndre Carter is. We haven't recruited a guy like Broderick Scholl at O-line. He's unbelievable, man. He'll be in the two deep immediately.
If they pull Babaloa,
yes, yeah.
You see, like it's just like we can get into this. We just keep rattling off names thing, and that like when is the last time you? I'll answer it. Never. You will never able to say this at Auburn. Like we've had talent at Auburn. We've had teams that have had 3-star guys that have played above their helmets and all this kind of stuff. But like just to sit here and say, 4 and 5 stars on deck, nah, that's never been an Auburn reality. But that's something where Coach Hugh Freeze is turning the corner on that. Ben Bloodworth jumps in, scoring more than all SEC teams except Ole Miss with 10 less minutes is very nice feeling. Football is fun again. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to be able to see. Notre Dame got the ball back already. Sheesh. Anyway, it's a beautiful thing to be able to see the offense go out there and put up some real points. Like, again, it's been a while since you were able to just watch a beatdown like this. I mean, listen, year one versus Harsin, they put up, 60-something points versus
Akron and then Alabama
A&M,
yeah.
right? Like, so it's not as if it never happened in the recent history. But let's be clear, those games felt a little different. Like the Akron game probably felt like a real beatdown. Alabama A&M was actually close for a little bit in that first half, and then it got crazy later in the game because I think they only had like 24 in the first half of that game, and then like the block kick happens, right, and all this kind of stuff happens. It kind of just spirals on them. Yeah, this was a beatdown from the beginning, from the word go. It was just like touchdown, 3 and out, touchdown, 3, like literally one play touchdown drives. That's something Blake talks about, like what happened to the explosive plays at Auburn, where it's like you're not having to do 10, 12 play drive. Nah, bro, we out the gate with it. Like, we're going to take a shot on the first play and we're going to house call it. Like that happened multiple times tonight.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of college football has been played. There's a lot of programs out there. To be the 13th program with 800 wins, which we got our 800th win tonight all the time, that's big time, man.
Yeah, again, I think people forget that Auburn is one of the 20 best programs in the history of this sport. But, hey, it's good to be back on the right side of this thing.
It could be in Gainesville. Gainesville, right?
Yeah, did you see? Like, I don't even know if it's real, but there's a post on social media from one of their players in the locker room putting up a middle finger. And
I think it's real.
It says F this team. I'm like, yo, it's bad out the gate like that. Like that.
They got a whole lot of tough games still ahead of them, Mike.
Sunbelt Billy. I hope your resume is well typed and you've gone ahead and gotten your contact list together. Because my friend, if you plan on coaching next season, you might want to get ahead of it. Get your agent on the phone and say, hey, man, just go ahead and put some feelers out.
We've been there. We've been there recently. Penn State game at home felt the same way.
Yeah. Heavy says O and D line thoughts, offensive line and defensive line thoughts. I'll let you take first shot at this one.
Yeah, like I said, first of all, like just excited about the future of the offensive line. When you look at, I was just still Connor Lew only being a sophomore, you still basically got 2 years out of him. Seeing those guys get in there in the second stringers get in there and make plays and do their thing. I knew that Hugh Freeze was going to be able to turn the offensive line around eventually, because if there's any question about Hugh Freeze, it's not, or at least get the talent in there that we haven't had in a while, because we all know he can recruit. That's, you don't question that about him. I didn't necessarily think it would be this far down the line this early. and still got to kind of wait to make a final judgment on it when we face a team that can actually challenge us in the trenches.
Right.
But as far as just kind of the narrative that built up over fall camp, about the O line was going to be a problem and all that, it looked like Auburn could have ran the ball, could have done whatever we wanted to do on offense tonight. The decision was to pass the ball. I mean, any one of our backs could have had 100. Hell, if we would have kept giving it to Jeremiah, he could have maybe came close to 100 on that drive alone when we were feeding the ball a couple times. So, and then on the defensive line, just I get really just really excited for the future, seeing a guy like Malik blocked in his first game just tear it up. And I don't think that I'm impressed with the way our D line played tonight, and I'm pretty sure that DJ Durkin didn't show a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like we know what he brings to the table, so I'm really excited to kind of see those guys crank it up next week. Keldrick looked good. He didn't just kind of conserving him, playing him here and there. Yeah, man, just it was a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. Like I was thinking 49-10, 52-10, something like that. And this to come out to be like 73-3. I don't care who the opponent is. Like you kicked ass, man, and you need to be happy about it. And I just think there's a lot of guys like going into the spring. D-line was like the big question for a lot of us. How are we going to get pressure on the passer? Are we going to be able to stop the run? And I'm still not like sold that it's going to be just great and all that. But I think some of those concerns tonight have kind of been quieted down a little bit. Like you see the potential, you see the depth that's there, and yeah, I think we're just getting started on the line of scrimmage, man. And then the 2025 kids that we have committed on the O line and the D line.
That D line class is starting to look absolutely disgusting. Golly, it's starting to look disgusting. Oh my goodness. My thoughts on it. I mean, again, it's hard to judge it on a night where the other team can't push you back the way that you would want to be able to test those guys, but they did what they were supposed to do. You didn't see a bunch of holding penalties. You didn't see a bunch of pre-snap penalties. You didn't see a bunch of, missed assignments out there on the line. A couple of times when you got into that third string, you see some guys might take a bad angle or get caught by a misdirection, but for the most part, they did what they needed to do. And handle business. So, kudos to those young guys for going out there making it happen. Oda Smith jumps back in with another super chat, and he says, "I love the fact that Freeze is coaching mad." Yeah, man. Listen, Coach Freeze again. It's a noticeable difference in the way that he's coaching this year versus how he coached last year. It's a noticeable difference. He's not accepting just, hey, man, we're going to go. Like, I would wager to say his energy in the post game is probably different right now than it had been previously. Like last year, he was just kind of like, yeah, man, happy to be here. We got to winning games is tough, man. We got to go out here and win. Right now, he's probably just like soak it in, but we got to go out here and we got to do it again next week.
Yeah, these guys, these high-level SEC coaches, these high-level D1 coaches, they're the most competitive human beings in the world. I mean, like everybody watching the show, y'all know what it takes to be a D1 coach. Like you follow this stuff, you see how much work these guys got to put in. And he said last year, I believe, like maybe it was after the bowl game, but maybe it was a press conference a little bit after. I know it was after the season was over, where he said, "Hey, I didn't do a good job coaching this year."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Just on the field, the product we put on the field." He said, "I didn't do a good job." He came flat out and said that. And I think he's a really competitive person that is very prideful, knows that he's a good coach. And he just said, we're not going to do this again. And I think that his messaging all offseason has sounded a whole lot different than it did the season before. A lot more positive about the current locker room, about the current situation, really showing love to guys and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, and I think that kind of plays into what Oda's talking about here with him being mad. It feels like he's a little bit more engaged. And I'm not saying they didn't care last year, but it probably was a situation where it's like, well, I'm watching the offense be clunky and not work, but that's Philip Montgomery's show. Like, now it's his show. It's his offense. This is my thing. And I'm going to show y'all that when I'm in charge of this, it's not that. And I think that's a lot of what you see. Like, he's engaged. He's pissed off. He wants to prove that I'm better than what I put on tape last year as a head coach.
I think he is coaching to erase the memory of last year.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, no, like, and that's why I think he got upset, not upset, but he was dismissive at press conferences when people were like asking him questions about last season. It's like, well, last year, blah, blah. He's like, honestly, I don't even want to talk about last year anymore. Like in his mind, he's like, man, I wish we could just remove that from my coaching record. That wasn't me. Like, I know it says Hugh Freeze on the door. I know that officially goes on I don't want to talk about that last year because that's not me, and you will see a better version of me this year. And you like he doesn't have to say it. You could feel the energy of that. Like it's going to be
Right.
different going forward. And so but what I like about that even more than anything else is these young guys get to see it from the gate. Like it's not like he's switching up on them. It's like, no, from day one, this is how I'm going to coach you. And if you don't like being coached this way, this might not be. But if you want to win football games, we're going to do it. We're going to have fun doing it. We're going to out here and we're going to sandblast some people. I'm going to coach you hard and we're going to go win some football games. If you like that, this is the place for you. And hey, listen, we're blessed to be able to put some money in your pocket while you're doing it, but you got to earn it. I love that. I love every word of that. You could go the opposite way and be Dabo Sweeney. We'll come back to that another time.
Lord.
Let's see here. James Barnett. Ike, remember I have been saying top 3 class in 10 games. I'm sticking with that along with the possibility of landing a number 1 class. I know that you've been saying that, James, and I ain't mad at it at all, man. I'm still not ready to go to 10 wins yet. But what I am willing to say is that this team gives us a high potential, and top 3 class, I feel, is almost guaranteed at this point in time. So I'm definitely with you on half of that. I'm ready to say that's now. That yes. Brian Hancher, Ike did another membership gift so more can watch the film. I appreciate that. I do see that another 5 memberships gifted there. So we will be for the Green Name Gang watching film later on this week. So not this week, next week. So like Monday or Tuesday, if you are a member, we'll be doing some watch the film stuff. What kind of stuff are you guys doing for your members over there on your channel?
A whole lot of recruiting stuff right now with everything going on. Me and Blake have both been traveling to games every Friday night, and so we're breaking that down. Then we get in there and we watch their huddle. We go and get the clips and talk about that. So got some basketball stuff, got some baseball stuff coming up. It's really just kind of doing a whole lot of stuff, man. Really, but me personally, I'm really hard on the recruiting right now. I'm pumping out 2 or 3 recruiting podcasts a week at least for our members.
So y'all make sure y'all check in with my guy over there on the Uptempo podcast, getting all of that
sure,
in. Ben Bloodworth says we don't fumble twice. It's 87-3. Wild. I truly believe they were going to go in and score again. If the first fumble doesn't happen, the second fumble, I'm not sure whether or not they score on that drive, but it seemed as if because they were letting them throw the ball, that they were just going to be like, all right, we're going to run the full offense, and if they stop it, they stop it. But Bryce Kane was off to the races if he's able to secure that one. I'm not really sure it was an actual fumble, and he seemed like he took it hard, right? And he's over there on the sidelines, kind of, went directly underneath the tent and just kind of chilling or whatever by himself. And that probably is hard for him to see all of his other freshman comrades out there like shining, and he gets his first real opportunity to do something and he fumbles it. But I mean, Malcolm had a moment. He dropped a wide open pass out there, right? So he happened to get in the end zone twice as well. But yeah, I think that's a difficulty when you're seeing all of your other guys shine out there. But hopefully he holds that little bit of something in him. So next time he gets an opportunity, he really shows what he's got, because he's got absolute talent to be able to go out there and be a game breaker.
But shout out to Coach Freeze for even in that moment trying to get him the ball. So it's not a situation where people are like 3 of these guys got catches and Bryce didn't get one. Like they clearly went into that last drive like we're going to get Bryce a catch.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Damian Prentice with the super chat says the way Freeze tore into Thorne, I felt that all the way through the TV. Yeah, he was giving him an earful. It was about a misthrow and a misread, right? Like he read one of them wrong, he threw up one of them wrong. And again, Coach Freeze is this is the Coach Freeze that I heard about, right? Like last offseason, he said that, he needed to coach Payton Thorne a little differently because, he'll light into him or whatever. And he felt like Thorne wasn't reacting the way, blah, blah. He's like, well, maybe I need to change my approach. This year, I think he didn't care. He's like, look, man, we got to get this right. But what I had heard about Coach Freeze coming into Auburn was he's really tough on quarterbacks. Like he really, if you're going to be a quarterback and play for Coach Freeze, you just have to deal with the fact that he's going to really be obsessive about you getting things right. And like there are no mistakes that you can make and Coach Freeze is okay with it at the quarterback position. But it seemed as if last year that wasn't the case. He was just kind of like, all right. And you could tell it's like burning him on the inside. It's like, okay, I that's not how I would have done it, but okay. And that between that and the play calling, he was just like, yo, man, whatever. I'm finna go out here and recruit. Like, okay, y'all got this. Let me go ahead and recruit. This year, nah. This is my ship and we're gonna steer it properly.
It was really nice to see quarterbacks come in and out the game, not like mid, you know what I'm saying? Like switching out in the middle of the first quarter. It was Payton played his time and then he came out, and then Hank played his time and got his touchdown, and then he came out. And yeah, so no two QB system after 2 years of going through that crap. That felt good as well, man. Like, hey, we're gonna act like a normal team here as a moth flies in front of my computer.
Super chat. Oda Smith says, laughing out loud, Deuce, KJ Lacey, and Juju gonna straight up fist fight for a spot on this roster with these wide receivers. So I think the Juju thing is
Yeah,
settled.
long
I think that they've moved on from him. So whether he wants back in or not, I don't think that they're going to be pursuing him unless for some reason they don't feel like they can get one of the other two. I feel like KJ Lacey is pretty set on going to Texas. Deuce feels very likely at this point in time, right? So, yeah. Here's because I don't do the high school evaluation of these three quarterbacks. In your estimation, who is the guy that fits best with what Coach Freeze wants to do?
Yeah, so gonna get out to Loosedale soon, maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'll be at the Cal game next week. So Auburn High actually plays Opelika, so I'm gonna watch Malik Autry next week. But maybe that next Friday, go out there and check Deuce out. So I don't ever like to give absolutes, like if I haven't watched him play in person. I have watched KJ Lacey play in person a couple times. They all three do some things a little bit different. So as far as matching Hugh Freeze, I would probably say Deuce. Like KJ is a close fit to that. But yeah, I think Deuce is probably the best fit for overall for what he wants to do as far as just the system and all that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, I haven't watched any of these guys tape. Not as like I'm not even gonna lie to y'all and be like, yeah, man, because I heard like I have not watched a single minute of any high school players tape that's not signed to Auburn. But I am looking forward to seeing what happens with these young men. I just hope whomever it is patient enough to say that I don't like takes the Walker White mentality of I'm going to come here and I'm going to work hard. But if I don't start day one, I'm fine with that because I'm going to be ready whenever my number does get called.
Yeah, in my opinion, none of those three guys are going to be ready to start day one. And Deuce especially, like I think he has the highest ceiling out of the three. But it's going to take him a year or two to get ready. And I mean, like most quarterbacks, I mean, you mentioned Walker White, like it's just going to take time. So, and I see it's so funny to like see a lot of stuff going around. Like, well, does Walker White transfer if we get Deuce? No, you got to get a quarterback every class. You're gonna go get the best one that you can get, and they all understand that. Like, it's not going to be some big deal for Walker that we go and get Deuce. Like, in Walker's opinion, I'm a top 150 player myself. Watch what I do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and I hope they embrace that competition. And and if the time comes where it's clear you're not going to get your shot, absolutely hit the portal and go do something. But I don't think just because you sign a QB in the next class, a kid should jump ship immediately. You've got a whole year worth of knowledge in the system on them. You've got a year in the strength and conditioning program. If you're Walker White, you're already physically there where you need to be. You learn the system. You play with these receivers more than these other guys have because they haven't had the opportunity to. You should come in and saying, "Yeah, this is my spot, bro. You got to come take it."
Yeah.
And let's go out here and compete. AU Templin says depth was apparent on the D line tonight. They looked fresh when A&M was worn out in the fourth. UNM, that's New Mexico, giving Zona all they can handle right now. So yeah, New Mexico putting up a fight out there, which is good for them. They just gonna fight until they come to our spot and get beat down. Again, I told you I got smoke for everybody this year. I'm not coming in here pussyfooting around about, well, I don't know if we can beat. We officially have kicked off the first game. My bug is activated. Everybody can get the smoke this season. Everybody. And this is not because we did good against A&M. I said I was going to do this before the season started. We're just here. And we're at that point in time where they still got to line it up and beat us as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Ike, I know we got a guest lined up in here, but I got to get out of here, buddy. Check us out tomorrow, man. We're going to be live 9:45, 10 o'clock, somewhere in there. Up Tempo podcast, going to be reviewing the game and everything. And I appreciate you having me on tonight, buddy.
Absolutely, Dustin. Appreciate you, man. Make sure y'all lock in with the guys over at Up Tempo, and we'll see you next time, buddy.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. War Damn Eagle, everybody.
All right.